to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to Home and Heart Radio with Mary Goulet, presented by VinVillage.com.
Thanks for listening in. This is Wade Taylor driving the show today, and I'm delighted too because I'm joined by Sherry Richert Belul. She is the founder of Simply Celebrate, which I encourage you to learn more about. Just open up a browser window right now and go to simplycelebrate.net. Simply Celebrate, and it is a .net, and you can learn more about the amazing tips and ideas that Sherry has to share. But really what we're trying to do this on this episode, especially here at holiday season, is get you to explore a different mindset and recognizing that time spent preparing a gift and sharing a gift has more value than something simply plucked from Amazon via your wallet. And as we're encouraging you to embrace this mind shift about making gift-giving heart-centered, Sherry does like to remind people that a gift from the heart is also a gift for your soul, and it nurtures us as well as it nurtures the gift recipient. So, Sherry, I love that, and I imagine that this comes from your own heart and your own experiences.
Oh, Wade, it definitely does. You know, I am often known to say that giving these kinds of gifts saved my life. And that's really not an exaggeration because as a young woman, I was suicidal. And a lot of that came from me sort of being, I didn't know it at the time, but so much in my head about, I wasn't living up to expectations and what was wrong with me. And I somehow started creating all of these kinds of gifts, including what I'll tell you about, I hope a little bit later when we have time, something called a love list. And when I would be immersed in making these gifts of love for other people, I realized it was impossible to be depressed. They transported me into feeling love.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that old saying, if you want to have friends, be a friend.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. If you're feeling unlovable, love somebody. You're right. It's the same thing, Wade.
And tell us, I love the personal story. One of the great things about entrepreneurs is often the entrepreneurialism comes from a desire to make something in the world better. Going, hey, I've got an angle here, I want to share it. But again, that's usually driven by a personal experience. So tell us a little bit more about how it makes you feel as you go through this process.
Absolutely. Well, what came to mind instantly when you said that is the very first love list I ever made, which again, it's a brainstorm of why we love somebody and writing everything down. And the first time I did this, it was for my mom. And at the time, my mom and I weren't actually very close, but I was inspired to create this list for her. And the more that I thought about her and the more I started writing things down, the more the love just poured out of me. And I could feel myself becoming more energized. I found creativity dropping in, like certain things I would write were kind of funny and a little bit had a creative twist. And that's very uplifting, to be immersed in creativity. And just that process of stepping back and reflecting on why we love somebody is also something that I think transforms us, because you and I were talking a little bit in that last segment about like this fast-paced world. And so I think the combination of having a little bit of time to reflect, being immersed in love, finding some different creative ways to express ourselves, those things all change us literally, I think, chemically in our bodies.
Most definitely. And if you're feeling alone and unloved, taking a moment to think about how lovable somebody in your life is returns the feeling to, if somebody is this lovable and they're part of my life must have some positivity.
Oh, what a beautiful way to look at it. That's so true, isn't it?
Exactly. And so I just love how you've got Simply Celebrate at simplyscelebrate.net as this bastion, this home for people to come and just embrace this idea, embrace the idea that celebrating does truly come from the heart. And, I don't, as I say this, I don't want it to be taken as transactional, but do recognize the reciprocity of, if I spend a half an hour or an hour thinking about how wonderful somebody in my life is and provide them a gift that reflects that, they're probably going to appreciate me a little bit more.
Aha. You were right. Great point. Right. And so you're right. Like, Wade, I do the same thing. Like, I try and always look at gift giving as something that we're not expecting anything in return, like the real idea of a gift, right?
Correct.
And just like you said, my own experience is that 99% of the time, when we give a gift, what it does is it nurtures the relationship. When it's a gift from the heart that we're talking about, it nurtures the relationship, and it's almost impossible not to receive from that, because we're investing in the relationship in a way that I think is very different than if I go to Amazon and order someone something. It just doesn't have that same impact of, like, energetically I'm investing love into it.
Exactly. You're creating an environment that is just filled with appreciation, personalization, and being loving.
Exactly. And I think, to your point also, that when, again, I think I said this earlier, but it bears repeating. I think what most of us really want the most is to be seen just exactly for who we are and loved for who we are. And if we're giving a gift that does that, I think, again, that person just can't help but feel more open and generous themselves.
Exactly. And so let's take that and double down. Again, part of the message we're wanting to express in this part of the show is, if you're feeling down, if you're, Simon and Garfunkel, if you're weary, right?
Yes.
And you're looking for something to pull yourself out of that. And I don't want to dismiss any, mental health issues, but part of the things that make just your run-of-the-mill person depressed is feeling like I'm disconnected, to feeling like there's nothing kind of new in my life. There's nothing for me to invest myself into. And by doing this gift giving, it's forcing you to think in a positive fashion about somebody. And I do want to also highlight, it gives you an opportunity to be creative. In this modern world, we're typically passive observers, consumers, and I think there's a human nature desire for a little bit of creativity. And you're giving them an easy pathway to do that. So if you're kind of stuck, here's an action to take that will ripple positive effects through your life, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And in case anyone's listening and going to that monkey mind, monkey mind loves to tell people they're not creative. And we are all creative. I mean, human beings, that's just, it's part of the definition of who we are. So I never like that to get in anyone's way when I talk about the creative aspect of this, because we are all creative.
Yeah, we just often need to allow it to be unleashed, and perhaps sometimes given permission. Now, one of the things that, as I advise business people and such, that we have an obligation, say, as a business to do is demystify and show a path forward, right? Because you can give me great theory, but if you don't give me some kind of action plan, it just kind of bounces around in my brain. So as I understand, and again, you can learn more about all of this at simplyscelebrate.net. there are some specific actions to creating this love list you mentioned that, it's just okay if you're just sitting there not moving, just do this first step. So can you share with us a little bit about those tangible actions?
Absolutely. And you're so right, Wade. Like, I think sometimes it's intimidating to just sit down and be asked, well, what do I love about someone? Our minds go blank. So, a couple things. One is, I do want to say that I have a free gift on my website that people can download that gives some prompts, and that's really helpful. So, to have a few prompts, like, favorite things that this person that you've done with them, oh, I love that every Christmas we go to holiday tea, or I love the way you greet me at the door with such a big hello, or, so I have different prompts that will elicit things. But the other thing that is really important that I always tell people, set the timer. So 10 minutes, you just set the timer for 10 minutes. And if you have any photographs of the person that you're making a list for, that can really help. When the mind sees photographs, it starts to remember things. And I always tell people, just let whatever comes for those 10 minutes, and then you can set it aside. And the mind will continue to want to work on this because it's so much fun. I've seen this happen with so many people who have said, like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not creative, or I don't know how to do that. And then they're shocked when dozens of things just come to them.
Yeah, we've only got about 20 seconds left, so I'm going to just add this to it. That's a generalized piece of advice that I encourage people. Unleash your subconscious, right? Start a little bit on it, but then take a step back, and your subconscious will create amazing things. And you can learn more about amazing things and how you can implement them in your life at Sherry's website, which again is simplycelebrate.net. Simplycelebrate.net. We're hitting a commercial break, so a perfect time for you to open up a web browser and go there right now. Back in a moment, Home and Heart Radio on WSRadio.com.
In the military, things can change in an instant. Your personal life is just the same. Just like you protect our country, you want your family protected. That's why thousands of military members trust Navy Mutual Life Insurance. Navy Mutual is nonprofit, providing current and former Navy, Marine, and Coast Guard families with life insurance, no sales fees, and no military service restrictions. Protecting members on active duty and beyond. Call 1-800-628-6011, 800-628-6011, NavyMutual.org, insuring those who serve.
One person has the power to change the world, impact millions of lives, and leave a legacy for lifetimes to come. That person is you. In the New York Times bestseller, What is Your What? Steve Olsher, award-winning author and founder of the Reinvention Workshop, reveals his proven process that has helped thousands of men and women discover, share, and monetize the one thing they were born to do. Grab your free copy now at www.whatisyourwhat.com/free. That's www.whatisyourwhat.com/free.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
Can you help a newborn baby in need? Sometimes the blessing of birth becomes complicated and perilous. Miracle Babies is there to help. Miracle Babies helps moms and dads give their all to their struggling little baby, but still need more. When you give to Miracle Babies, you help them give more. More skin-to-skin care, breast milk, and love. Go to miraclebabies.org and give right now. Be their miracle.
I've been bragging about Progressive Medical Center to you guys for years, and I'm so excited to have Dr. Agoli with us because, Dr. Agoli, a lot of people walk through your doors, and some of their biggest problems are they're just fatigued, they're tired all the time, and even though they're dieting and exercising, they cannot get the weight off. Why is that?
It's a combination of poor metabolism, inappropriate eating, but more importantly, it's due to a lack of education and really doing the right testing. A lot of our patients are metabolically compromised. What does that mean? Their metabolism is not functioning. The metabolism is responsible for all physical and chemical processes necessary to sustain life, and that includes energy. And without cellular energy, your body is not going to be a burning machine. Let's get back and teach our listeners to be a fat-burning machine.
It's been a lot easier to maintain my weight since Progressive Medical Center started treating me with all-natural supplements, learning proper nutrition, and that can be you today. No more frustrations about being tired or overweight. So why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today through progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life, live it well.